new farm automation, potential new dimension, fake NPC players, and more. Hello there, Ray here. Let's first talk about the stuff that came out in today's new snapshot. There's a new entity in the game which is called the Mannequin. You can summon this in with a command, and essentially it's just like a player but doesn't have a player attached to it. So it has like all the properties that you expect from a player, with the default name being Mannequin. You can see it has the word NPC underneath of it. You won't find this guy naturally like in your survival game, but instead this is for map makers, so they can have like an NPC in their maps. And just like any player, you can put stuff in their different slots. They don't show up like in the player list when you hold down the tab button. And like other players, you can change out their skin. You can change out the cape that they're wearing. You can make them wear like a Elytra, as well as change their model, which is a type of width of arms they have, either the thin ones or the wide ones. You can also hide the different skin layers, as well as make them right-handed or left-handed and hold items. But it doesn't seem like these things will have any AI, so it don't seem like they're going to walk around and attack things. But I'm sure somebody will make it so that they can do that with a mod. It's now possible to put multiple controls under a single keybind. So let's say you want to walk forward as well as walk to the right at the same time. In the past, you couldn't put the same keybind for both of these, as it would turn red and wouldn't actually save it. But now it would just turn on both yellow. You kind of got a warning that it is being used by another one, but it allows you to do this. If you highlight or top of it, even tells you which keybind is also using the D key. But if we go ahead and leave it now, if we go down and if we press D, it's going to make us move forward as well as to right just by pushing down a single key. And you can have as many keys as you want with one key, or you can have multiple keys that are duplicates. Like here is the A key, which sends me backwards and to the left. So the real question is, what happens when we put our attack key as well as our use key to be the same key? Let's both set them just to Y. Now when we hold down Y, you can see it's going to do one of the two actions. But which action is going to happen first? Is it going to place the block or is it going to break the block? Well, it seems like when I aim at a block, it always breaks it first. But if I aim at like this grass here, and if I click, then it will actually place first, and then it will attempt to break. So this might be useful so you can do multiple things while you're AFK, instead of needing like a third-party program that would convert different types of clicks and placements. This could all potentially just be done within the game. And I do have a lot of complex farms that use these right-click and left-click actions, so your player could do stuff while they're not there. So if you have anything specific that you want me to test, let me know down in the comments. And also here in the keybinds at the very bottom, there's an option for how, when people are inside the spectator game mode, how they can select stuff on the hotbar. By default, it's set to the middle mouse button. So let's go ahead and do F3 plus N. That'll put you into spectator. And then if you push the 1 key, it's going to pull up this. And then you can scroll across to select different things. You can also finalize your selection by pushing the middle mouse button. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Push it right there. And yeah, looks like I exited the screen. And when the Mojang developer Fisk joined our testing server, he did say that he was working on fixing a bunch of bugs related to the spectator mode, which is really exciting because I do actually use spectator mode quite a bit during my testing and building of different farms and machines. This snapshot comes up with some big changes when it comes to how they draw tile entities as well as particles. The block entities include stuff like chests, where particles are the little things that float above different things. And they can create lag because sometimes they render from really far away. But they changed this now so that it's going to be more optimized, with one of the changes being that the particles won't render if the player is far away. This should save on a lot of CPU, and for over a decade I've always had a different type of data pack that would remove particles because they are just so annoying, especially when you're doing something that creates tons of them, as it can drop your frames per second. So just removing them is an easy fix. But hopefully with this new fix, we don't have to worry about particles or a bunch of tile entities rendering and causing problems. Now, as you can see, the chest there still renders, but I don't think they changed the distance of the rendering, but I'm guessing they just made it more optimized. Now, when the copper golems put stuff into chests, they will now actually update the comparators that are reading the items inside of it. And before, this would create a comparator bud, or it would only work from one side, which will be great, so I no longer need to have observers that are constantly updating it so that it'll actually work in the storage system. It made copper golems smarter, so now they won't check the same chest over and over again. This was a bug due to them always checking the chest with the priority in the northwest corner. And as the updates have been fixing the copper golems, I've been updating my effective storage system that can sort every single item in the game of Minecraft. Look forward to a tutorial on this as soon as the full release gets closer to coming out. But copper golems still have a ways to go, as we were running just a couple hundred copper golems in our testing world here, and they were creating a lot of lag, and even out of our massive world, 50% of all the lag was just coming from the copper golems, which is way too much. And if we compare that to the next laggiest entity, it was only 30% for armor stands. So hopefully they continue to fix copper golems so that they're not laggy and we can actually use them in large amounts. Now, breaking down these copper golem statues is supposed to keep their poses, that when you place them down they'll be exactly how they were, but as you can see it kept setting it back to the default. Now when you break them down they will keep their same position so that they look the same, and they also will keep their name, so if you renamed them when broken down they will keep it and they will stack with any other ones, which allow you to get all the unique types in my automatic copper golem statue farm. Now if you have oxidized lightning rod and lightning hits it, it will now remove oxidized layers from it when before it would not. The colors of the copper torch as well as the lanterns got slightly modified so that they're now easier to see by people that are colorblind. To me it looks like maybe they made them a little bit more lighter, maybe a bit more dull, but what do you guys think? Now, mushroom islands are actually supposed to generate in pumpkin patches, but due to a bug in the code it never did, but now they're finally going to generate naturally, which will bring a lot more life to these islands. Whenever editing text in Minecraft, it's now possible to select just one word by double clicking it, where in the past if you want to do this you'd have to go to the end and hold Control, Shift, and the arrow key to select just one of them. I really enjoy when they do these little quality of life things. Now when it comes to the codes of context, a little screen that pops up when you enter a server, you have to agree to the rules, but it's possible for servers to maliciously use this in order to constantly make it so players couldn't actually disconnect or even acknowledge it, so they would keep getting the same thing popping up. In this case they use it to actually do a pixel art image of a famous animated intro song, I think. So now servers won't be able to force you to sit on this page, you can actually leave. They also fixed a bunch of other bugs, mostly related to visual problems or misspells or things that just broke during the snapshots. Now we know the next update for Minecraft being 1.22 is going to be a big one because that was already announced by Minecraft, but what do you think this update is actually going to be? It's been a really long time since we had a new dimension, and they have said in the past they wouldn't come out with a new Minecraft dimension until they first kind of filled out all the other dimensions. Now they said that they're not really going to fill out the end dimension because they want the end dimension to be kind of void, because it's supposed to be the end and not supposed to be a lot going on over there. And we have seen the overworld get a lot of different updates that makes it a lot nicer and enjoyable, with the last few updates actually bringing a lot to the game in filling out the current dimensions and biomes. Minecraft also just came out with a video where they really emphasize on lore and specifically answering a question, is the Nether located under the overworld? They then go on to talk quite a bit related to this as well as other lores, and in it they explain that the Nether is not necessarily underneath the overworld, but it instead is its own little dimension. With this kind of explained, it would make it easier for them to come out with a new dimension because players would no longer think the Nether is being under the overworld as well as the end dimension, like being high up in the skies like the Sky Islands. Therefore making it easier for them to come out with a brand new dimension that could be essentially anywhere and not have to follow this kind of story of being above or below the overworld. They also talk about every time they add something, they want to add it so that it will introduce lore to the game. So they don't want it to necessarily have everything fleshed out and answered. That way people can create their own stories. There's also another hint that they're coming out with a new dimension based off of how they worded the setting here in accessibility settings, where even though there's only two different things in the game that produce flashes, being lightning bolt and the end skies, but instead rather than just writing those two things out, you can see that if we hover over top of this, it says lightning bolt or other environmental effects, meaning that if more effects are added in the future, it's going to automatically be covered under the setting. And since we already got lightning bolts in the overworld and we got these new end sky flashes in the end dimension, and I doubt they're going to put anything in the nether dimension, it means the next environmental flash would probably come from a new dimension. Plus, we've had a leak from the person called John, and this is supposedly the Roger Badgerman guy who's been leaking all the other stuff from the previous last few years related to the Minecraft live event, as well as the next updates. And this John guy put out a cryptic message on a forum where people are to guess what's going to be shown in the next Minecraft live event. And this John guy just left a one-word answer saying Nautilus. And since he did leak the stuff in the past, it would make sense that if he would say something related to the Minecraft live, it most likely will be in it. And we do have Nautilus in the game. That is the Nautilus shell item, which you can get from drowns, which are in the water. You can also get this from fishing in the water as a loot. And you can combine this with the Heart of the Sea, which is found from Treasure, and which produces you the Conduit, which is a thing that will attack hostile mobs nearby if you put some ocean monument blocks around it. Which also makes you think the next update is going to be something water related. If the next update does use a lot of Nautilus shells, luckily I do have the only AFK treasure loot fishing farm, which is the best way to get these things. And in the snapshot, they even fix a bug related to the water world, super flat world. This is something you can access when creating a new world. You can go to worlds here and click down to super flat, and then go to customize and then go down to presets. And these are different types of worlds that you can get automatically just by clicking on them. I'll put in all the details, and this is what it looks like when you run the water world. It's just a world that is full of water and it goes up really high. And the bug that was fixed related to it is that instead of spawning at the very bottom of the water, the player will now spawn at the top of the water, which would be important if you had a whole dimension that was full of water, because you wouldn't want the player to like spawn down in like a ravine full of water. But if they did make such a water world, it would have to be something different than our large oceans, which are already full of a lot of water, and there's already a lot of interesting things that you can find inside of the oceans. And also related to the oceans, they came in with a new type of biome music that will only appear when the player is in a water biome. So this could make it so that they came out with some new types of water biomes. The music would be unique to them, which means we're either going to get some new music for like the previous old ocean biomes, or we could get like a new dimension with new water stuff. Plus, Minecraft just put out a video covering the oceans in Minecraft, and in it they specifically talked about how the oceans were really barren, but now they have come in with a whole bunch of different updates to really spruce them up, including the ocean monuments, which contain the Elder Guardian. And this goes back to them saying that they wouldn't add a new dimension until they first kind of filled out the current biomes and dimensions. So with this video kind of confirming that they also filled in the ocean as well as the other updates they did mostly related to land, it makes you think that they are prepared to put on a new dimension with new stuff in it. And in the special tab, which you have to turn on by going to your controls and then toggling this on in your settings, then you'll get access to a new tab in Creative called Operator Utilities, which will get you access to stuff that you're normally not supposed to have even in Creative. So a lot of like command block stuff, potentially OP items. But in here is also 4 paintings, and these paintings are a little bit weird because if we go ahead and place them down, we can see we have this one which is called Earth, the next one is called Fire, and then the next one is called Water, with the last one being called Wind. Now these 4 paintings are not obtainable in Vanilla Survival, and you can only get them through Creative. Now although these are originally for a Pocket Edition map, the map was never given out publicly. But oddly enough, these elements also fit with the different Minecraft dimensions. So the Earth one fits well with the Overworld, and then we have the Fire one, which is like the Nether, and then we have the Air one, which is like the End dimension, just mostly full of air, with the last one being Water, but there is no water dimension, only the other 3. Which makes me think they're going to come out with a new dimension pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be this next one or something further down the road, as it seems like they're going to try to come out with the winter drop somewhere around probably the beginning of December and kind of the beginning of like the Christmas holiday, which doesn't give them a lot of time in order to actually put out a big update, especially one that includes an entire new dimension. But what do you think the next Minecraft update is going to be? And if they did come out with a new dimension, what type of theme would it be? Now watch me design all my new farms and machines live over at my Twitch streams, which I do 4 times a week, every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where I'll be testing out the new automation with the keybind combinations. And big thanks to all my supporters. As always, bye bye!